How do I sound? How do I sound?
Oh, you, Matt, mate, you sound absolutely fantastic, mate.
This is new territory. Got a brand new mic. I feel like I've leveled up. I feel like we've got to Avengers. We're at the final phase one, and I've leveled up, mate. I've got a brand new mic.
It's got a brand new microphone, and the only way I knew how to react to that was to try and go one better.
Yes.
So I am currently talking through what can only be described as the most ludicrously sized stand you've ever seen in your life. Which I got this stand for my birthday. I was like, oh yeah, quality, that's a great shout. Then I realised that the table that I do the podcast from isn't the type of table you can put a stand on because it goes all the way back. Yeah. So it's too chunky. It's a chunky monkey of a table, right? So I've had to use the window ledge, which is right in the other part of the room.
What a setup you've got.
What a setup, mate.
I don't think you could go beyond any other level now. You've got everything. You've got everything you need. I can't believe we're here already, mate.
End of phase one.
Like, it's mad. Like, we've really gone through all the movies. We have been talking about and hyping up getting to the first Avengers movie, and here we flipping are. And my God, have we got so much to talk about.
Oh, an endless supply to talk about. I think first and foremost, and we haven't speaking about this, is we've launched a podcast. Podcast is now live.
We have.
Since the last time we recorded, we hit the go button, and we've gone live. And we've had such a good reception. It's been brilliant.
It's been amazing. It genuinely has been really awesome just to see the work that we've put in for the last few months come up, and people listening to it, and all the responses have been awesome. So thank you everybody for listening and commenting, and we've got emails coming in as well, which is awesome. So yeah, stick with us because this is only the beginning, really. This is only
the beginning. And we've got more than one listener, Matt.
Yes, yes, we do, my friends.
We've got more than one listener, and we've got listeners in America. I saw last night. Now,
yep. So hello, America.
We've reached the States. Hello. We've got Belgium. We've got a very avid Belgium listener. They listen from week one. So hello to Belgium. Hello to the States.
Let us know who you are. If you're listening and you're new, and you might not know us personally, just let us, get in contact. Get in contact with us so we can shout about you being awesome as well, listening to our stupid little voices.
So yeah, drop us an email. Don't be a hero podcast at gmail.com. That's the one.
Oh, I'm beaming. I'm just so excited. I'm just so thrilled that we're doing this. The artwork looks great. Is it credit? Oh, I've forgotten his name now. We need to cut this bit. What? Mick Russian.
Mick Russian. Yeah.
Mick. So Mick did our artwork, didn't he? For the podcast, he's got an amazing logo for us and a bit of artwork, which looks awesome. I'm dressed as Thor, mate. I'm dressed as Thor. It's so cool.
I've got to get this out of here right now.
I think you do. I think you need to come clean before we start, mate.
I do. So I was just about to take a swig of water,
and that's what you're drinking.
My drink for today's podcast is water because so it was my birthday this week, and we went a bit out on the town last night. Not me and Matt, but Matt clearly was busy. But I went out yesterday to town, and I've got to say I'm quite worse for wear today. Hence why I'll probably sound quite worse for wear. I'm just, I'm starting it as I mean to go on for the next 2 hours. So, what are you drinking, Matt? That's the main question.
Mate, what am I drinking? I am drinking a Brodog Punk IPA. You cannot go wrong. Standard, absolutely fantastic beer. Yeah, that's what I'm drinking, brother. That's what I'm drinking. It's all good. Yeah. But anyway, that's, I think it's all very, very exciting, but we've got so much to talk about, and we are talking about Avengers Assemble. it's Avengers Assemble's time. I think we were talking about previously, like filming this, doing this together, and seeing if we could make it a bigger thing. But we've had, since we've released the podcast, we've had a little bit of a few weeks break between the last podcast and this one, just because of life things. So what happened for me, I don't know how to do this as well, mate, but I've had to watch it twice.
Oh,
in the last
100%.
few weeks.
I've watched it fully once, and then I had to go back and go, right, okay, what were the moments that I wanted to just brush up on? But I mean, it's a monster of a film. It's the longest film by a long shot so far. Certainly out of phase one, we had very traditional hour and a half, hour and 40, minute films, and then this one
I had to take a break. Yeah, man.
I
had to take a break halfway through, like just to sort of retain everything that was happening. But it was, I think for me, it was the first time I've watched that in a couple of years. But I do like to go back to this movie every now and then just to watch it, to see how far, just the MCU has come. And it feels like this is the first pinnacle film that really does set the tone for the rest of the, especially for phase two, but then beyond it becomes that kind of milestone movie. But let's talk about the synopsis. I want to hear the synopsis of Avengers Assemble.
When Thor's evil brother Loki gains access to the unlimited power of the energy cube called the Tesseract, Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., initiates a superhero recruitment effort to defeat the unprecedented threat to Earth. Joining Fury's dream team are Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Black Widow, and Hawkeye.
I love that Hawkeye's last.
Yeah. And
Hawkeye's always last.
He is, and it constantly feels like an afterthought. And we'll talk about that. Even in this film, feels like a bit of an afterthought.
He does. Yeah. But yes, cool. So there we go. That's the synopsis. It doesn't feel as stacked as what you probably think it should be for it being the first team up movie for the MCU. But
no, it does deliver the goods though. It delivers the goods, tells you what you need to know, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. When did this come out, mate? What year did it?
What year? This year?
Year, month, and day.
Year, month, and day. So May the 4th, 2012. So Star Wars Day.
Wow, well, that's interesting. I wonder if that was done deliberately or not.
Don't know.
Never knew that.
Yeah. So May the 4th. 2 hours 23-minute runtime on this bad boy.
See, that's a long one. That's a long one. Yeah. That's almost Lord of the Rings long. Give it another half hour.
Chuck another half hour on that. Happy days.
Wow. I mean, it needed to be that length, didn't it?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Because of all the characters that they're in, all the people that you've set up in the last, previous movies, you need it to be substantial. You need it to have that kind of length. And fair enough, I had to have a break when I was watching it, but just the way I think the film is presented, the way it's paced, is really nice. You don't get bored. There's enough action. There's enough dramatic scenes. There's a like we'll talk about it later, but there's a wicked dramatic scene between Thor and Loki in the first half of the movie. And so there's the way it's been composed together. It's a flipping brilliant superhero movie, man. Really good.
It's fantastic. And I think one of the things that I did think about was that I really like the way that they've formatted the film. So it doesn't feel like, right, we're just going to go to one single massive battle at the end. We're going to gear up for that, and then that's it. Because there were several little battles in there, there's several moments in there, and it kind of spices it up a bit. We get different moments we're not expecting, and I think they've done a really great job at stitching this film together.
And it's been 10 years, so they've just celebrated their 10th year anniversary with this movie coming out, and after watching it quite recently, for a couple of times, it doesn't feel like it's aged badly at all. Like it's got I'm talking about the way that it's been visually represented as well, in terms of its visual effects and all that kind of stuff. It's still really good. Really good. Yeah. All right. Well, let's delve deep. Let's go for it. Strap yourself in, everybody. Here we go.
So we start in Shield. We come back to Agent Carson. We come back to Nick Fury. We see they've got the Tesseract. Dr. Selvig joins us again.
Yeah, he does.
He joins us, and they're quite worried, aren't they? Because there's a lot of energy going on with this Tesseract.
Lots of energy, lots of blue, lovely lights. Do you know what? This sounds really silly. I like the color of it. I just really like the color of the Tesseract. There's that really lovely sky blue, but then the way it kind of moves, you get the deep kind of blues in there and everything. I've always wanted to own like a replica version of that.
Oh,
that kind of lights, and I know there's got to be a few of those out there, but like I've always wanted to own a Tesseract in its complete size. But yeah, no, it does. There's lots of energy. They don't really know what to do with it. Dr. Selvig seems pretty excited to be part of this. You know, you can see the fact that Nick Fury, because obviously we saw in the end credits that Nick Fury approached him, but this is from obviously the influence of Loki. You can see that sort of in there, sort of happening. And Clint's there as well. Hawkeye is like Batman, brooding at the top of the warehouse, just watching his eyes like a hawk. Which you don't actually, to be honest, really see him do much of that at all since beyond that point in any of the movies going forward.
It was good introduction, I think. You know, it literally spelling out Hawkeye and the type of because he,
exactly.
Let's be totally honest, he's not the most exciting superhero.
But he was doing the lookout, wasn't he? He was looking out. He said, "There's no threats to Selvig. His background is clean." Blah 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 blah. And then Clint goes, "Well, there's lots of energy coming from our side, but there's also, this is a portal, isn't it? So clearly there's a door on the other side that's feeling the same amount of energy." And then Nick Fury is like, oh, and we can't control that. And then obviously it gets out of hand very, very, very quickly. And then all of a sudden the Tesseract has a big kind of like spurts out some like gamma light, blue light. I don't know what I was going to say then. I was going to say blue lovely light. I like the light. And appears Loki. Ready. He looks a bit disheveled actually. He looks like he's
he does a bit
tired.
Yeah, he's a little bit tired. And then it like I say, gets completely out of hand very quickly. Cut a long story short, basically possesses the power of multiple people, including Hawkeye and Dr. Selvig, and disappears with said Tesseract.
He does in a van at the back. I think what's quite cool. Gone.
Not the most glorious exit in the van.
It's not, is it? That's very true.
Out of all of the ways, all of the powers in the room, all of the things that Loki could get, the mischief he could get up to, and he goes, right, I've got this van.
Why did he decide to do that?
I've absolutely no idea.
He could have flew.
Yeah.
He could have flew. He could have teleported out of there. But he decided to sit in the back of a van with his now new possessed mates that bailed him out.
Hello, Mr. Feige, listener number 1. If you could drop us an email, just explain yourself there, please, mate. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kev. K-Dog. Yeah, I think strange choice, but what I enjoyed in that particular section as well, because Nick Fury got into the helicopter, he flew himself out as well. Coulson was radioed in as well. What's the female character's name from How I Met Your Mother? Her character is Maria Hill. Agent Mary Hill. We got there. Agent Mary Hill. She's there as well. She's managed to get herself out. There's this awesome crane shot of the kind of the area where they're making all this experiment. The whole kind of like warehouse area just kind of implodes. It drops in on itself by the power of the Tesseract. And there we go. And then that again, the perfect ingredients to kick start this movie. And Nick Fury goes, we are now in, what is it, level 7. We at this point are at war. Oh my God, here we go. It's time to assemble the Avengers. Again, yeah, really good start.
Really like, there's a line in there that Nick Fury says. He says to Dr. Selvig, he says about the low levels of gamma radiation. And I think Dr. Selvig goes, "Oh, it can't be harmful because it's only low levels." And Nick Fury replies and goes, "That can be harmful," which I really like. And they're constant, because if you look when we talk about previous films, that's such a cool running line of Phase 1 that I never knew about. Is that I think almost pretty much in three or four movies in this phase, they've had some variation of that line. Like,
they're linking it
the
in.
gamma, yeah, the gamma. And I never quite realised before how much they go, like, A, they talk about gamma anyway, but B, they link that Hulk thread quite nicely.
That's very true. And the Hulk's going to appear in this movie, but like, again, prior to this movie, coming out, nobody really knew, until Mark Ruffalo was announced, nobody really knew who was going to play the Hulk, or whether Edward Norton would come in and do it or not. Yeah, really cool. They're teasing it. They're teasing for the first appearance of the Hulk.
So, character arrivals. So then we get we go. I think the first one is Black Widow, if I'm not.
I think so. She's strapped up to a chair. She's been interrogated by Russian baddies, it looks like. And then she gets a call from Nick Fury saying Clint has been compromised, I think the lines are. And then through that, she goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is the real deal. I need to get out of this situation pretty quickly," which she does with absolute ease. And again, that kind of the reaction between, her going, "Look, I don't have time for this. I'm in a pickle at the moment." Yeah, sorry, your mate Clint is in trouble. She reacts immediately. So again, it shows you the relationship between these two characters very, very quickly, because obviously this is the first time that's referenced, because we haven't seen a Clint Black Widow sort of team up yet. So this is the first time that they've teamed up as kind of agent partners. Yeah.
I think for me, I think actual first gripe might be that the scene with Black Widow I find it it's a bit jarring in the sense of style. So it felt like her being trapped by thugs, right? And she's, trapped to the chair, blah blah blah. And then they allow this whole phone call to happen, and for blatantly Black Widow's going, "Well, I'm about to kick these guys' asses," and then they just wait for that to happen. And it feels a bit like the Batman, like kind of Riddler, a bit too comic at that point. But then it's not like that elsewhere. Like when we have battles or fights, it's serious, it's intense, right? But then not the very first one. So the very first one is Loki, so he starts killing people, all around Shield, and so we have that really intense battle, and then we have this weird, like, quirky, taken straight from the comics, I could imagine, type of scene with Black Widow and thugs.
The stakes aren't there. As much as she is in an incapacitated situation, she's not in any threat. You don't think she's in any threat at any given moment in that scene. I think you're right.
I know it's not the point, is it, I suppose? But you could argue, well, actually, the point is just to reintroduce her and get that on with. But actually, there could have been 50 other ways of introducing her then, that you could have done as a pure comedy scene without having some weird thugs, like, being part of it.
But I wonder whether that was for the people that haven't seen the movies previously, like for the people that haven't seen Iron Man 2, that don't know this character. So they've gone, "Oh, look, it's an agent being threatened by Russians." That gives, again, a little bit of a hint on her backstory immediately without saying anything. So it's kind of like an easy setup and an easy explanation to this character before they go straight into more into the plot. Maybe, I don't know.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So and then we get a crazily good scene with Black Widow and the Hulk, or with Bruce
Yeah.
Banner. Bruce
I think
Banner,
she
should I
says.
say?
I think she says on the phone, "You get the big guy."
Yeah.
Uh,
No, that's Coulson says to her, "You'll get the
that's
big
it.
guy," and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get." She thinks it's Tony Stark. She's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I'll get Tony," and then Coulson's like, "No, I'm on about the big guy."
the big guy. And here we go. Mark Ruffalo's first appearance as the Hulk. He's in India. I completely forgot about this scene. Like,
Ooh.
honestly, as when we got to it, I was like, oh yeah, this scene. Um,
Mm.
and there's this. You're right. It's a really, really good scene. It's a really, really good introduction. You can see that the Hulk is, well, not the Hulk. Bruce Banner is helping out all the townspeople in a local village. He's a doctor. Effectively, he's helping them. He's helping make them. He's healing people. With illnesses and all that kind of stuff, and he's doing humanitarian stuff. Again, that's the kind of thing I was expecting as a job Bruce Banner to do in the first one that we saw.
Yeah.
Instead of working in the factory, I would have thought he would have used his intelligence and used his philanthropic trait for humanitarian things.
Yeah. I'm gonna come in with another quick gripe here. My only gripe with the introduction of Mark Ruffalo as Bruce for this film, too much. I had too much of Bruce worrying about the Hulk and being fearful of transitioning into the Hulk, and I felt it was just a little bit too much. Like, oh, I don't want to be there, man. I don't want to do that. I just think, like, and I felt it was just too heavy-handed with that. I think a couple
Yeah.
of pieces of dialogue about it, fine, I can get on board. But actually, I would have wanted for them to introduce Mark Ruffalo in a different way than just okay, we're going to reinforce that in order to
Yeah.
establish him.
And the other thing is that the fact that they are tying in Edward Norton's Hulk into this kind of MCU canon, then at the end of that movie, you can see that he's very much got that under control. That he's not scared about hulking out. He's able to control that, and he's not like he's embracing it, but he's able to control when those transitions happen. So if they were to have taken that on, clearly they didn't and made that choice not to, he wouldn't be scared of that. He wouldn't be scared of his alter ego. He wouldn't be scared of the Hulk.
Yeah.
He'd noticed that that's there. I think you're right, but still, it was a good scene. It was a good introduction. There was lots there.
I loved the whole fact that she goes, "Oh, it's just me and you," and then no, it's
Literally a whole team of people.
A whole SWAT team outside. It's just about. It was really good.
But then I think again, the relationship between the Hulk and Black Widow is established right there in that first scene. You can see that there's a personal attachment between both of them there, and that gets threaded throughout the whole phases up until the end. But yeah, that was cool. I think there was a really lovely moment in that scene, particularly that's worth mentioning, is that you can see that Natalia is scared of him.
Yes,
Is scared of the Hulk, and that kind of gets seen again later on when we see Banner change into the Hulk. But you can see that there's this kind of, oh, this is a shit scary dude. That can create a lot of destruction. It just throws in obstacles and challenges for her role to overcome later on, because I think it's not until Age of Ultron that it gets addressed again. But yeah, cool moment.
So throughout the film, we get Nick Fury constantly having to battle against the Council, the Shield Council, about what he's doing and what his actions are. Phase 2 is constantly mentioned. Which is funny because there's a tie-in, isn't it, as well, to actually Phase 2 incoming in the MCU. So I really like that little that thing. Then I got angry again. I turn into the Hulk at this point, Matt, because Not because of this film, but because it took me back to why I was annoyed at the end of Captain America. Right? You might remember I was talking about the end credit not being a proper end credit. Do you remember? So it was about Nick Fury walks in and Captain America's bashing this boxing thing hanging from the ceiling. He's bashing it away, and then Nick Fury talks to him. And I said, well, it's not a proper end credit scene because then it basically turns into a trailer for Avengers. And then at that moment in this film, I then got re-annoyed because we basically see that scene, which even more emphasises that end credit scene was absolutely not it wasn't an end credit scene. Captain America cheated all of us just by giving us a teaser trailer for another film.
And I think if I try and remember what I said back when we watched it and we did the podcast, is that I said it was an end credit sequence. And you're right, mate. It's not. It's a teaser trailer.
Teaser trailer, mate. 100%
true.
Teaser trailer.
True that.
Cheap.
Cheap. Robbed, mate. Bloody robbed.
Yeah.
So this is Cap, isn't it? Captain America's bit. We have a bit of a flashback, don't we? I don't think it's needed personally, but we get the flashback. Up until the point that he is submerged in ice. And then he punches that boxing bag, and it flies out. Which actually, I think, is a nod. Were you a fan of Buffy, by the way?
Buffy
the Vampire Slayer.
Not an active fan. I saw a couple of episodes.
I think it's a nod to a scene in Buffy the Vampire Slayer where they punch the I can't talk. Punching the boxing bag and it flies out of the way. And I think it's because Joss Whedon directed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as he did this movie as well. But yeah, we see Captain America have this moment with Nick Fury. We see him about going, look, I need you. Now's the time. Gives him the file. The file was about the Tesseract. And then Nick Fury, upon Captain America's exit, goes, is there anything we should know about this Tesseract? He said, yep, you should have left it in the ice. Ooh, I was like, okay, all right, she's a bit angry about this. Okay.
A little bit salty, a little bit of a salty reply.
Chill out, Cap. And then we cut to Iron Man under the sea. Under the sea, Iron Man's doing Iron Man stuff under the sea.
No, that was the tie-in I least expected from this episode. I didn't see that coming at all.
Well, there we go.
But I think this scene, Matt, favourite scene of the film. Favourite scene of the film, I think. I love it. He walks in, all of the floor absorbs his armour as he's like walking in. He sees Pepper Potts. You kind of re-establish that relationship again.
She's so good. She's great.
Mate.
No, she's brilliant. Favorite character in the whole MCU. Gwen, you listening? Yeah, you're great. You're up there, Gwen. It's good. It's all good. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say this for the second time, Gwen, that I never doubted you. I never second guessed that you were a very substantial character and a fantastic hero in not even a hero, but you are my hero in Phase 1. Thank you. Yes, so Gwen...
She brings the bants. She knows what her role is. She brings the bants, and that's what she was there for. And
and talking about Bants and Gwyneth Bants, she says she calls Agent Coulson Phil. So he rocks up and she goes, "Oh, hey Phil," and then Stark goes, "His first name's Agent." It was good. It was really good. Agent Coulson through this whole film is fucking amazing.
He's incredible.
Oh my god!
In all seriousness, I think he is my favourite character in this movie.
I forgot how good Agent Coulson has written. Like
Yeah.
it is absolutely. He's amazing. He's
We've mentioned it before, but it is worth mentioning again. It's because he's human. It's because we've got this human dude that's employed in this extraordinary job, surrounded by gods and mutants and tech people that can make Iron Man suits. It's ridiculous. So there is this through line that you kind of live through Coulson a little bit, because Coulson, obviously, in this movie as well, we might as well say it now as we're kind of focusing on him. He has this boyhood affinity to Captain America. He has Captain America baseball cards, and he doesn't really know how to talk to Captain America, and he gets kind of like giddy around him, and it's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
he tells Captain America pretty much at their first meeting that he watched him sleep, and then he has to be like, no. I was I can't remember how he words it, but he just has to change what he's saying, and it is absolutely amazing.
So good. But going back to Stark Towers, that's the first time we see Stark Tower in its entirety. And again, this tower has been built through the energy of the new element that he created in the second movie. And this is kind of like the first step to the big plan of Howard Stark's plan of creating this whole resort based on this kind of clean energy. And that's a part of what this whole thing is. So you can see that Tony Stark hasn't been sitting on his hands for the last year between his Iron Man 2 and Avengers. He's been working hard. He's been building this, and he's been building his dad's legacy, which I think is really lovely. Oh, interesting. Sorry, going back to that scene, mate. I found a little Easter egg. Because Coulson shows Tony Stark some footage on the screen, doesn't he? I think it's on like a screen of some sort. But we see, I think it's either in that scene or it might be after, I can't remember, but we do see shots of the old Hulk from the Incredible Hulk in the tank scene where he's taking out those tanks outside the university.
Yes.
There are shots of that being used in this movie, which just reaffirms and confirms that obviously it is part of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. All canon in the phase. Yeah, I think, it's interesting they put a nod in there. It is interesting that they put actual footage in there. I think they couldn't avoid neglecting it completely, I suppose.
That's true.
But interesting.
Harking back to the first time watching this, I do remember watching this at the Curzon in London on the day of release. I'm not even joking. I got a photo to prove it to you. I was wearing a Thor helmet. My mates were wearing, I had a little Captain America shield, and I also had an Iron Man mask, which I still own. And we went in our early 20s. Go to the Curzon and saw the Avengers like a bunch of 12-year-olds.
I remember because around this time was exam season, so I was, and these were big exams because I was doing A levels, ready to go into university later that year. And no, I wasn't. That's a complete fucking lie, Matt. I just lied to your face there. I apologise sincerely, mate. 2012, I was already at university. It was the complete opposite. I was in my first year, so I was in there were no exams, and if there were exams, it was
So you were in your first year of university.
First year first year at university. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I was just about to start my MA.
Jesus Christ, mate. Honestly,
It's disgusting.
It's like the old man. It's like, doing podcasts with my granddad. Look at it.
It's really not nice. I don't like it. And I know, listeners, if you don't know my face, I know that you think this is the voice of some 18-year-old. It's not. It's the voice of a 32-year-old. Okay? My face is aged, but my voice has remained pubescent for quite some time. Quite some time. It's depressing. It is depressing because I wonder, and I'm not fucking joking, mate. I wonder how I'm going to sound when I'm in like my 60s, 70s. Will I have this voice just a little bit more elderly, or am I going to Benjamin Button it up? Am I going to go backwards?
Oh my god!
Is it only going to get higher?
Hello. You're right, Matt.
I'm turning 72 today. Anyway.
We've detoured, but then I'm going to skip ahead to Thor entering. Thor arrives, and then we get a lovely little sibling scene between Thor and Loki. Obviously, this is the first time Thor has seen Loki face to face since the events of Thor. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, a lot of beef. But another favourite line in this scene, Tony Stark. He says, and this is perfect, Matt, because it goes right into what we were talking about during the Thor episode. He says, Shakespeare in the park. Where he sees Thor and Loki in the park having a fight, and he goes, "Oh, Shakespeare in the park," which I think is perfect, bearing in mind what we know about Thor as being the movie, Kenneth Branagh being hyped up. You know,
I wonder whether that was deliberately put in.
Oh, 100%. 100% there. And I'm interested to see whether it was put in because of it's their reaction to the fan reaction of Thor. So some fans going, "Oh, it was really hyped up, overly Shakespearean." So they went, "All right, we'll fucking dick on that by putting a line in." Or it was more of a positive spin, like, "Oh, actually, we quite liked the Shakespeare time."
What's my favourite line? Is it Lion Man? "Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?" So good. So good. Such a good line. Yeah, I do remember cackling with laughter when I watched that for the first time. Yeah, it does. It throws in this kind of Shakespearean element and this outer worldly conversation they have with each other, and Iron Man just so happens to be there as well. But again, a giddy moment for me was the moment where Thor and Iron Man fight. Like, it was just so good.
So I'm cutting in there, Matt, with a possible gripe of mine, right? Because so Iron Man and Thor don't get on at this point.
No,
right?
I don't.
Now Iron Man associates Thor to all the lots of trouble that's going on, right? Now I don't understand that, because Stark spent the whole night reading loads of notes about all of his, fellow Avengers. On those notes, it would have said that Thor pretty much saved Earth by killing the Demolisher, right? In the events of the Thor film, Thor did many an act that saved many a person, many a village, whatever. Now, so I don't really quite get the aggression from Iron Man to Thor at that point.
I mean, who wouldn't want to have a fight with Thor?
No? It's not the argument I thought you were going to take, but
no, but seriously, who wouldn't want to take on Thor with the anticipation of potentially getting a little cuddle out of him? No? Anyone? Just sort of like run in for a rugby tackle and then just don't let go. Just sort of hold on for a little bit. And just sort of squeeze into his waist a little bit and then go, maybe just squeeze and just sort of smell his cape and then go, all right, yeah, you got me, God of Thunder. You got me. No?
I've zero words. But that is good.
No? Just me. No. And then my next thing would be, so you've decided to dye your eyebrows. Yeah, they're not blonde anymore. I get that.
Some homoerotic fantasy there of
sorry.
Straight into
sorry. I digress.
I mean,
I digress.
If anyone else has those thoughts, do email us at don'tbeaheropodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all about, Well, I'll tell you what, right? Please email in with any fan fiction that my good friend Matt can read. Because there must be a loads of...
What a segment that would be, my friend. I'm well up for that.
Loads of fan fiction about Thor, cuddling God knows who. That must exist.
Please do that. If you are listening, please send in any hilarious fan fiction for us that would tie into the movie that we are or the characters that are referenced in the movie that we are talking about, and we will throw that in a segment every week. We'll do that.
Oh my god, we need a whole episode of fan fiction. Oh my god, that is okay. Yes, please send it in. Fan fiction, the worst, the best, the cheesiest, the most romantic. We want to read it. And Matt's gonna read it in his most fan fiction-esque voice. I don't know what that is.
I am there.
Oh, I am excited.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway.
Yep.
What do we do? So we got to the moment where, doth mother know you weareth her drapes. We get a wonderful bit, that wonderful scene with Tom. I just said Tom Holland. I nearly went Tom Holland. It's because we've been talking about fan fiction and been talking about Spider-Man. No. We get to the next. We get to the next scene. All right. Where I think it's back. I think it's back to Shield, isn't it? Is it back to the hangar?
Yes, I think we get a little bit, because what we haven't mentioned yet is Chitauri. We haven't talked about the Chitauri yet.
The who?
Chitauri.
Who?
Chitauri.
It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Or is that just me?
The Chitauri. Yeah, I mean, it is the
Chitauri.
Yeah.
Chitauri? An Atari.
Whatever it is, it's the least scary in, like, he went, oh yeah, Matt, I've got something to tell you, mate. We're really worried on Earth because we're about to get invaded by the Chitauri.
The who?
The Chitauri.
Chitauri?
Yeah.
Is that?
Chitauri are coming, and they're going to attack us pretty hard from every side.
I think I had that for dinner last night, mate. It is ludicrous, but I think again they that then they were never going to be the main threat. Do you know what I mean? Like, even in the scenes that we haven't spoken about earlier in the movie, where Loki talks to the Chitauri, the leaders of the Chitauri, they talk about this other master, other person that they are serving. We all know ... who that is. So that's the main threat. So we go, okay, these people, whatever, fine. Yeah.
But another name would have been cool. But yes.
Another name would have been better.
So we'll win Loki Earth, but from a world not known is what I put. So the army will win Loki Earth, but from a world not known. Don't know whether that was a line in the film or that's just my comment. What I tell you what is a line from the film around this time. This possibly, I don't know if I get a better one later on, favourite line of the film. Thor said, so I think Thor says the first bit as well. He says Loki killed 80 people in 2 days, and then he says he's adopted.
That is good. That is good. That is very good. I think that's during the scene where they're all together, isn't it? All the Avengers are sat sort of in a consultation period. It seems like they're in a meeting, and Iron Man naturally takes the lead, which I find quite interesting. You see the dynamics of Captain America and Iron Man come out. You see that there's resentments from Iron Man's perspective towards Captain America. Howard Stark idolized Captain America. He knows that as well. So he has a chip in his shoulder against Captain America, which plays into Civil War massively later in, I think it's the second phase. You also get this wonderful moment between I think it's the Hulk and Captain America in particular, that are questioning Shield's motives
Yes.
in the lab, and they're talking about, oh, this phase 2. What about this phase 2? What does that mean? What are they hiding from us? These secrets. Well, they've got these weapons that they've got, and they're trying to weaponize the Tesseract. Well, that's a bad thing. Why? And Natalia's like, yeah, but they're there to protect us. Iron Man's, on that basis too. And you get this, and this is the thing. Back then when I first watched it, I had no idea that this was playing into Civil War. I had no idea that this is kind of the whole foundation of what Civil War is, them weaponizing alien technology for government and military control and military gain. And when I rewatched it a couple weeks ago on that, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's just good dynamics.
I love it as well, just even from a basic principle that this whole phase, we've been with, as an audience member, you've been set to believe that S.H.I.E.L.D. are amazing. Yeah, exactly. Like they literally get set up as being like the dudes that will solve everything and know all these people and know what they're doing. So actually having some time to question that, even as an audience member, whether we ultimately know they're good or bad or whatever, it is really good. I think that was a nice little contribution to the film. Actually, really enjoyed that.
So during this all bit, basically what happens is that Loki takes out. I can't remember what the Quinjet. It's the Quinjet, isn't it? It's the Quinjet. The Avengers Quinjet gets kind of taken down, gets attacked on, and the Avengers, through their kind of teaming up, they're not fully on the same page. They do ended up split up at some point during this scene. Hulk gets kind of smashed out of orbit effectively. Thor gets thrown away. Captain America and Iron Man are just then left going, what do we do? And Clint and Black Widow are there as well, and Black Widow is there to try and capture Clint and recalibrate Clint into normality again. There's a really awesome line. I think it's either just beyond this scene or just before it. I can't remember, but the line goes, "If we can't protect the Earth, we'll be damn sure to avenge it." And honestly, that sends shivers up my nerd brain. And it's so good. It's such a good line. And just the kind of the Avengers music gets played at all the right moments in this movie, and it was especially during that moment in particular that I just absolutely love it.
Did you notice that during the scene, it's just before it's attacked, and there's like, I think you've got Banner, Bruce and Tony are talking like science in one room. You've got Captain America who's looking for answers to who S.H.I.E.L.D. really are, right? And they're kind of lots of different shots there. And then you got one random shot of staff members, so all of the S.H.I.E.L.D. staff on computers playing Space Invaders. Did you notice that?
Oh yes, yeah.
So what is obviously Space Invader? It ties in, I suppose, in a small way anyway. But I would love to know if anyone out there knows if there's a specific reason why there's a shot of them playing Space Invaders.
There is, and I'm not going to say it. I'm going to leave it for our listeners to explain.
Oh, you know it then?
I do.
Oh.
But I don't want to say it because I think it's a wonderful participation moment there, my friend, for our dear listeners to engage in.
Is it going to make me feel stupid, or would it be something that
no, not at all.
Actually, no. Oh, okay.
Not at all. There's a couple of references to a specific game that they're playing, and it's kind of referenced later on in an action sequence in terms of how it's shot. That kind of relates to the game, but I don't want to give it away. I'm leaving that to the listener. Oh, amazing. Anyway, I've got there's some bloody brilliant lines in here. Clench up, Legolas, which I think Iron Man says to Clint at some point, which I think is amazing. There's we're kind of throwing ourselves in, but again, there's so much in this movie. One of my favorite moments is where Hulk punches Thor. It's so good. So good. But we go beyond the Quinjet. The team's been sort of broken up a little bit. Hulk finds himself in this weird deserted warehouse where there's a guard that is randomly there. Thor seems pretty pissed. Again, Thor taken very, very seriously in this movie. And then they all assemble back at the point where the portal is opened up. So basically, Dr. Selvig returns, and he is at the top of the Stark Tower. And we see that he is using the energy that Stark, from the element that Stark is using in the Stark Tower, to source and power up the Tesseract to open up the portal for the Shatari, or the Enter the Shatari.
Oh yes, that's the type of material I'm here for.
Oh, it's a good bit of business. It's a good bit of business.
We'll see you. We'll see you in phase 2. That is. See yourself out there, Matt. That is golden, mate. Enter the
Shatari. Because that's exactly what they do. They enter through to the portal and start invading New York. Oh wow. Oh, that tickled my bones.
What a band, by the way. What a band.
So yes, the Battle of New York basically commences on all kind of levels. Loki's there. He's been Thor finds Loki in Stark Tower. They have an initial kind of battle. These kind of weird kind of alien creatures turn up, and then soon out through the wormhole enters this big kind of slug snake dragon with no wings. Approaches and it kind of worms, doesn't it? It kind of goes up and down, just the way it moves.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a very odd enemy, isn't it, in this film?
It is.
The Chitauri and the worms.
It's literally serving its purpose, though, isn't it? Because you're like, these are the bad guys. There's bad guys in all shapes and sizes, and this one in different kind of levels of difficulty to defeat. Let's throw these at our Avengers and see how they deal with it. And honestly, the amount of destruction that ensues on New York in this sequence is absolutely unreal. There's actually, I don't know if you want to mention it because you love talking about the civilians in New York. I don't give a two shits about them, but I'll let you talk about it because there is one particular moment that's worth mentioning.
So.
Go on, you fucking say it.
Do you know what is golden about you kicking off about this? Is that I've specifically wrote in my notes, lots of civilians running around New York, ! Got very excited, Matt. Because it is exciting, and I'm waiting for the emails to flurry in because I want that one person, Bob from Belgium, who really loves a civilian in a Marvel film. But we get some great moments. So one of is it the police moment that you're thinking about? Maybe
there's a lady that works in a diner that gets saved, or just witnesses. There's a couple of go on.
She gets saved. I think my favourite one. There's a couple of police guards who tell Captain America that I can't get through or can't do what he's planning to do. They basically stop him, and they don't listen to him. They just go, oh, whatever, mate. And then we get an awesome thing of Captain America doing what he does best. They witness that. I think. Oh yeah, that's it. I think he tells them to close a road or to stop something going on, and they're like, "Wait, what are you talking about? Why should we listen to you?" And then he does this kick-ass move, and then the police are like, "Oh yeah, all right, do what he says." And that worked perfect. It was some great civilians.
There, in all seriousness, there are some good kind of tender moments, and again, it brings it into realistic expectations of where they are. New York is a ridiculously dense place, fully populated. So when there's this amount of destruction, it's going to affect a lot of people. And I just find it really interesting in the fact that New York is obviously the tragedy that's gone around New York as well already in the past with the World Trade Center and everything. There is that kind of element that people can resonate with and on a human level go, oh, that is rough, because we know what that is from experiences, and people living through that as well. So yeah, get that. I get it. I'm not saying I'm not saying we need it, but I get it. You know what I mean? I get the civilians that they're there, and I get the stories and why. Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying we need it.
Well, I'll tell you what. When we eventually get to Shang-Chi, there are some fantastic civilian moments in that film.
They really are.
We get our first ever shot of the Avengers in a circle. We get the signature circle of Avengers and the powerful music to accommodate it.
They honestly, that shot, that moment where they're all together and the music's being bellowed out, and it's just perfect. It literally, I'm not even joking, it gets me very, very excited beyond the point that I'd kind of like almost well up a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, man.
I kind of get a bit teary because it's just so good. And it's just there's something about these characters coming together from so many different places that are working together against one common enemy, and there's something beautiful about that. Some beautiful, but equally it's just really cool to see it in a screen movie sense. I just trying to think about how it felt back then. I do remember it being pretty special. There's one gripe for me. There's literally one gripe for me in this movie, and it's Captain America's new outfit.
Captain America's new outfit.
It's like that skin tight thing, and Coulson says it's an upgrade, and I'm like, that is 100% a downgrade. And I don't know whether it's just me, but he just this kind of helmet with this thin tight kind of costume just doesn't make it feel. It feels quite like like if you were to put Captain America in a 1980s 1970s like TV show, that's what it'd probably wear, because I haven't got the budget for the kind of cool stuff. But I don't know, there's no real armor to him, there's no real kind of, until later down the line we get different kind of outfits and suits, but that kind of outfit really just upset me. It throws me off, especially in that set sequence when you see all the Avengers together. Yeah.
Well, I've got to be honest, if that's your only gripe for the whole film, for 2 hours and a half worth of film, then, you know, I think overall Avengers, an amazing film, an amazing way to say goodbye to Phase 1.
Yeah, 100%. I know we might want to wrap this up quickly, but there's one thing we haven't mentioned, mate. There's one thing we need to talk about during this movie. We have skipped through like it was a footnote in this movie, which kind of, it's just alarming, actually.
Oh, what's that?
It's Coulson's death, mate.
I think I didn't want the words to be mentioned out loud, Matt.
I'm sorry I had to say it.
Then it makes it real, mate.
I think that's probably it. I think the reason why we skipped over is because we don't want to talk about it because it's so heavy. But genuinely, I think so. It's at the moment, I think it's kind of like 2/3 into the movie. Loki's still in this kind of chamber. He gets out, and then he takes out Coulson, and Coulson's there as he becomes the hero in this moment. He tries to, stop Loki, and in doing so, he gets himself killed. And I remember watching that, and I genuinely remember for the first time ever in a cinema hearing audible gasps and people being like, no, not Coulson, anybody but Phil. And it just throws in the kind of investment you had for this character immediately. And because obviously this is the first Avengers movie, and the audience knew that there was lots of movies coming beyond it, and there was a phase 2 coming, and then the death of Coulson, you go, oh no, I want to see more of Coulson. I want to see more of this character because I really resonate with this character. It was a really sad moment. It was actually quite a sucky moment in particular. I do remember when watching it for the first time, but it has to be mentioned. R.I.P. Phil Coulson.
Phil Coulson. I was all ready for his, dark period. I was ready for his what do you call it? Like, he's been quite a nice guy through this phase, and I was hoping he'd be around for phase 2, and we could see like the darker side to Coulson. For Kill Phil.
Kill
Forget about Kill Bill. Yeah.
the Disney series Kill Phil.
Kill Phil. You won't like it when he's angry.
That is great.
He's like put little blades on the end of his little trading cards, like flings them out at people. Like, it's Kill Phil, Kill Phil, Kill Carlson.
This is a rare Captain America.
Yeah, I'm level 10, you motherfucker. And he just, yeah, that I would have been there for that. But yes,
yeah, I think I just another couple of moments in terms of just worth mentioning before we finish. The moment where Loki has a go at Hulk and he just kind of throws Loki left and right over his head is a wonderful moment. I remember getting a massive laugh in the cinema. So it's quite a nostalgic pop for me, in particular in that bit. The bit where the government as well were literally about to nuke New York.
Yes.
Which I thought was a bit, okay, wow. Okay, government. Fine. All right. Let's do that. But obviously that didn't happen. And I just want to give massive props to Alan Silvestri, who is the composer for the Avengers music, who created that amazing theme song, but also is one of my favorite composers because he composed Back to the Future theme song.
Oh, wow. Did he? Wow.
Yeah, he did.
But
amongst many others. But yes.
Avengers music is just...
It's bagging, man.
As soon as
so
you hear
good.
it, you know, if I was legally allowed, I'd bow out this episode quite nicely with a bit of Avengers. But we all know that a Disney lawsuit, will bring down everything.
100%. Everything in all its path. But they capture Loki, don't they, mate? They close the portal. It's very simple. Nothing. Dr. Selvig gets recalibrated. He realizes he's now no longer possessed. Loki goes back with Thor. The team effectively just split up and go their separate ways. I think Hulk and Iron Man, or Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, get into a car together and geek out over science stuff in a convertible. And that honestly is it. Like, that is it. And we're left with Nick Fury.
Although we do get our big Stanley moment.
Yeah,
which you forgot about, Matt. You forgot poor old Stanley's big moment in this. So at the end of the film, they all go their separate ways, and then we hear the public responses to the Avengers. So yeah, again, that's probably what you blocked out, Matt, because this is another civilian moment. You just thinking, I hate real life. I hate it.
Look, if I want to watch people on the street, I'd watch EastEnders on Google Books. No.
So Stan Lee turns up, he rocks up, and they're showing loads of different shots. So we're getting the news articles, presenters, and we're also getting people on the street. So for Vox Pops, and little Stan Lee turns around. He's sat in a chair. He turns around. He goes, "Superheroes in New York, give me a break." Yeah, that's his little line. Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense because so what's he saying? That he doesn't believe there were superheroes, but did he not see the massive fucking hole or any of the footage that was shown? It clearly shows a bright green man. I don't think anyone would dispute the fact that a superhero turned up.
Quite a bit of rubble over there, mate. Quite a bit of rubble. Some broken windows, apparently. See this massive dead alien there? Oh, and there. Oh, and also there.
But as we know with society, we will all you'll always have people who don't believe or conspiracy theorists who say it was all made up.
That's true. Maybe that's why that was there. I don't know. It didn't really serve anything, did it, mate? It didn't really serve anything at all. And also, the kind of post-credit sequence that we got. We go back to space. We go back to the planet where the Chitauri, the Enter the Chitauri, were communing through this whole movie. And then we just kind of see a couple. I can't remember what the lines. I think there was a couple of lines, but we do see this kind of very quick moments where you see this figure appear and turn towards the camera over their shoulder, and you get a weird little smile. and it's a unfinished CGI version because they haven't cast the character yet.
The Tesseract, I think it's probably a good point to raise at this point, is with Thor. So Loki and the Tesseract are with Thor at this moment.
And that leads into the next Thor movie as well, which goes into phase 2. And then we get another post credit sequence of the Avengers team eating shawarma in silence amongst the completely desolate and destroyed New York, which they're gonna get told off about that. Someone's got to be held accountable for that kind of mess, people.
But I tell you what, though, one thing moving forward, we hear the words New York a hell of a lot, and they refer to this event a hell of a lot. Like from now on in, we're about to hear about this film several times.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. It feels like this is it's not a setup movie. It is a pinnacle movie that sets up all the other ones and is incredibly referenced and is a foundation to a lot of storylines moving forward. Yeah.
So yeah, big film, but I absolutely loved Avengers, mate.
I've got to say, and I will say this is definitely my favourite one so far in terms of our current chronological watch through, isn't it, of our MCU journey. Definitely was my favourite.
Fantastic job of looping them all together. Fantastic job of integrating them. Like over the phase, I think phase 1, it is fantastic. I think the films is an appropriate amount of setup. There's some great moments in there. I think they learnt a lot of lessons, I would say, from the phase, and really set a pathway for how the films were going to carry on. But yeah, I think we've done phase 1, Matt.
Phase 1 is over. We did it. Dear listeners, if you are listening and you've listened, to every single podcast so far, or if not, if this is your first, second, third one, please get in contact with us on don'tbehero.podcast@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts on phase 1. What do you think about it? Is it the perfect setup of introducing this Marvel Cinematic Universe? What could have they done more? Could they have introduced other characters that have been later introduced in other phases into phase 1? Give us your thoughts. I want to listen. I want to read this out, team. I want to read it out. I want to hear your thoughts, all that kind of stuff. So do get in touch with us if you are from the UK, the United States, Belgium. Bob from Belgium. Get in contact.
Very excited to hear Bob from Belgium. And then phase 2, we will begin our journey into phase 2. Very first film is Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay.
And I remember absolutely loving Iron Man
3. You'll never see me coming.
And also phase 2 has the introduction of my favourites of the Marvel characters, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Thank you, Matt, so much. You have cured my hangover. You've cured my every need. You have.
Oh, pleasure, mate. Thank you as well. It's always just an absolute flipping delight doing this. It's genuinely one of my favourite things of my week. I'm not even joking. I get emotional. Oh, thank you, listeners. Thank you, everybody. Right. Thank you so much, mate. Till phase 2.
What a journey.
Phase 2. Here we come.